to order. Please come to order. There's a quorum present, and all of the court members are present, and all the legal notices have been duly posted, and the court is duly called. Is there a motion to close the July term?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there a motion to open the August term?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And our invocation today will, bailiff, please open court.
All rise.
It'll make it official.
Dallas County Commissioners Court is now in session on this August 2016. The Honorable Clay Lewis Jenkins presiding. Please remain standing for the invocation.
And our invocation today will be given by a guest to Commissioner Price.
Judge, Commissioners, we're very pleased to have with us Pastor Ricky Rush, the pastor and the founder of the Inspiring Body of Christ Church here in Dallas. Prior to pastoralship, Pastor Rush taught in the Dallas Independent School District for over 17 years at Skyline. From that, and this is one of the few introductions in probably 30 years that I've never had to refer at all to the bio. But Pastor Rush, from that teaching at Skyline, formed a choir, and from that became the Inspiring Body of Christ Church 25 years ago. Today, boasting a membership of over 17,000 individuals. It is considered to be one of the fastest growing churches in the country, where he is known for being a fisherman of men, and as such, the new edifice has the largest private aquarium in the country. It has been known from everything from National Geographic's on back. And so I just want to thank Pastor Rush, a person that is very much engaged, has taken a number of his men in the membership and created patrols in the community. He is known for a number of convocations, but you just can't say enough for all the numerous awards that Pastor Rush has received. But more than that, he's engaged. And I'm very extremely proud to have him here today. Those of us who know him, especially Constable Tracy Gully, one of his members, know that he has what is known as Monday night school. Most of the churches have what is called Sunday school. And on Monday night, that sanctuary probably has 4,000 to 5,000 people in it. Unbelievable. The choir, about 4 choirs, and they're all 200 plus. I think there's a waiting list to get in the choir. Right. There's a waiting list to get on the praise dance team. There's a waiting list. It's unbelievable. And if you've not had the occasion to be in either one of his services on Sunday, then I invite you to do that. Pastor, thank you for honoring. It's taken me 30 years to get you here, but thank you so much. And thanks, Sister Orr. I know that's the reason you're really here. Thank you for blessing us this morning.
Hello, I'm Pastor Rush, and I approve of his introduction. Let's bow our heads, please. Lord, every once in a while we can wake up on a morning, we wonder what's going to happen that day. But every once in a while you'll give us a glimpse of your glory and a glimpse of your goodness. And today you have done so. And we just want to say before all of these leaders of our city and our community, I want to thank you so much for this day. I don't know what's ahead of this day. We don't know what's going to happen at the end of this day, but we want to thank you for the beginning. And for all who sacrifice their lives, their reputations, their images, their families, their finances to make sure that our city has a fair chance at receiving justice on every hand. From whatever community is represented, and whatever household will benefit, whatever neighborhood will be better after today. Our simple prayer today is thank you so much Lord, we pray that words that could hurt be softened, walls that are built up, that they would be let down, and pain that would penetrate, you would help soften it so that the right things will be said and done. Condition us to be prepared, to be mature in our decisions and godly in our responses. It is in your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you, Pastor.
And I enjoy you on Sunday mornings in Channel 8, that's why. I do watch that easy.
Bless you. Judge, before we get to the resolution, I want to put on the table a motion to suspend the agenda as printed.
Second.
That means you don't have to take it in the order in which it's
I understand.
Okay,
that.
gotcha.
Yeah. So there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. I have the first resolutions this morning, and it is for our employees of the month. Will the employees of the month please come forward? They are Ray Turi at Criminal Justice, Dr. Christopher Perkins at Health and Human Services, Rudy Phillips at Health and Human Services, Spencer Lockwood at Health and Human Services, Sunila Zachariah with the Sheriff's Office, Regina Lowry with the Sheriff's Office, Michelle Washington with the Sheriff's Office, Ricardo Salas with the Tax Office, Vanessa Torres with the Treasurer's Office, and Harold Martinez with Public Works. And the resolution reads as follows. Whereas Dallas County employees are hardworking, dedicated, and play a vital role in achieving the goals and objectives set each year by the Commissioners Court. Most employees perform above expectations and ensure that Dallas County continues to be a regional leader and the destination of choice for residents and businesses. And whereas the Dallas County Commissioners Court authorized the creation of an employee recognition program in 2012 to encourage recognition of dedicated employees who represent the best and the brightest of our workforce. And whereas the Dallas County Employee Recognition Program is consistent with the county's approved strategic plan vision 1.5, maintain a strong, motivated Dallas County workforce. Specifically, the Dallas County workforce, in many ways, is the face of the county. It must be knowledgeable, able to provide the services for which people are hired, and dedicated to helping improve the system. These employees represent the exemplar employee Dallas County hopes to recruit and retain. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court does hereby salute these selected employees for being selected as Employee of the Month in July 2016 for their respective departments, and offers best wishes for continued success at Dallas County, and I so move.
And I proudly second, since we can't do it without you.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Congratulations.
And our next resolution will be given by Commissioner Cantrell.
It's really mine, and I'm sorry. They printed it that way, but that's okay. I look like Commissioner Cantrell. Will everybody in the Judge John Ovar delegation please come forward? All of these honorable judges who have joined this family this morning. Even got the Chief Justice coming in.
Yeah.
Okay. From JPs to Chief Justice.
Great to see everybody, yeah?
Administrative judges, come on. Yeah, Judge, you just come on up, Judge. Come on up, you're okay. You come up, you front and center.
Commissioner, are you going to do the resolution?
You read. Go ahead and read it.
You want to read it?
Well, go ahead.
Why don't you do it in a second?
Okay.
I can read it together.
And then
Move.
David, his son's here. Right. Okay. Whereas the Dallas County Commissioners Court takes special notice when an individual has given long and faithful service. public service to Dallas County. And whereas Judge John Ovard earned his undergraduate and law degrees from the University of Texas, and in 1969, but Judge, before we do this, we've suspended the rules.
Yes.
And can we move Court Order 8 first?
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
Okay, so I'll move, do you want to move Court Order 8?
Yeah, well, the deal is that I thought we were going to do the resolutions, and then I was going to move our court order.
Want to do it that way?
Yeah, let's just do the resolution.
I think you're in good shape either way, but.
He began working for the Dallas County District Attorney Henry Wade. During his tenure as prosecutor, Judge Ovard tried in excess of 300 jury trials, was named the chief felony prosecutor, and then promoted to the head of the career criminal division of the district attorney's office until 1978, when he ran for public office as a district judge. And whereas in 1979, Judge Ovard began his judicial career as the criminal court district judge of the newly created 265th District Court, overseeing felony cases. Serving on this bench for 10 years, he earned the respect of both prosecutors and defense attorneys who appeared before him, and he could be seen in the courthouse on his mobilized scooter, necessary because of his complications related to juvenile diabetes. His passion for public service propelled him to the 5th District Court of Appeals, where he served nearly 12 years. Whereas Judge Ovard was appointed to the presiding judge of the 1st Administrative Judicial Region in 1982 by Governor Bill Clements, and again in 2000 by Governor George W. Bush, serving a total of 17 years in that capacity. During this time, he was instrumental in advancing the Dallas felony drug court dockets and the civil family violence court dockets with the assistance of assigned judges. And whereas in the early years, Judge Ovard equipped himself with a broad wealth of experience as he worked as a senior tax examiner for the IRS, and adjuster for an insurance company, a salesman for an automotive club, a taxi driver, an apartment manager, and a city park director. Without a doubt, these experiences provided major awareness and understanding of human personalities, insights, which later benefited him in his judicial career. And whereas Judge Ovard is married to the love of his life, Jenny, and they are the parents of 5 wonderful children and 7 amazing grandchildren, Judge Ovard is not reluctant to share with anyone his list of priorities, which are: 1, his belief in Jesus Christ and his teachings; 2, his family; 3, his country; and 4, his profession. A lifelong member of Zion Lutheran Church, he has served as deacon and Sunday school superintendent. And whereas few would disagree that Judge Ovard has devoted his life and career to serving the citizens of Dallas County and the people of the state of Texas. To sum it up, his lifelong career as a mediator, arbitrator, volunteer, judge, and Christian has earned Judge Ovard the respect and adoration of those who have worked with him or who have had the pleasure to meet him. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court is hereby recognized and extends sincere appreciation to Judge John Ovard for his leadership, commitment, and dedication to Dallas County, and further wishes him continued happiness in his retirement. Furthermore, it is the pleasure of the Commissioners to name the Auxiliary Court Number 9 in the Frank Crowley Courthouse after the prestigious Judge John Ovard, so that the many people who visit that courtroom will know how he was loved and respected by all. And I so move.
And I second.
And we hadn't said this, so let's do this real fast. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And at the same time, with the court order that is before us, I want to move, since we suspended the agenda, move the court order to name the court order to Judge Ovard.
Second.
Court order number 8. I'm sorry.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
We got all of these justices. Wait. Y'all don't get away that easy. Chief Justice, we got all of these judges here, and the family. Just introduce yourself. For, as I said, this is the official record of history in Dallas County. Judge?
Thank you, this honorable court. I am Carolyn Wright, Chief Justice of the 5th District Court of Appeals, and I am honored to be here with my colleague and longtime friend, Justice Ovard. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioners. I'm Mary Murphy. I'm the current regional presiding judge. Judge Ovard is my predecessor, my mentor, and my hero, and I could not be prouder than this honor bestowed on him today. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Ken Malborn. I'm the local administrative district judge for the district courts of Dallas County. Judge Ovard, me as a representative of those courts, I'm honored, very honored to be here. I've known you all my career, and I love you dearly, and congratulations on this memorable day.
Judge?
I'm Sandra Ellis, a retired Justice of the Peace, and I had the pleasure of working for you when you were in the DA's office, and then I got to work for him again as his court administrator when he was a district judge. We've been friends for, I don't know, 25 or 30 years, and there is no one that I have more respect for, more love than my dear John Ovard. Such a pleasure. You did the right thing. Thank you.
Judge?
I'm Judge Steve Sider, Justice of the Peace. Judge, congratulations. A friend, a mentor, a confidant, a brother in Christ, and congratulations.
Yes.
The matriarch.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Wonderful.
Good.
Good.
He is too. Thank you.
Wendy Ovard Schlarb. There's a lot of wonderful things people are saying. I'm going to tear up again, but mostly this is my daddy. And everything that you've expressed is what he raised us with, and this example is really hard to live up to, and it just makes me proud every day. And yes, David, I'm the oldest. He wants to make sure that's on the record.
I'm David Ovard. I'm his son, and this is honor for him as well as the entire family, so thank you very much.
Well, I want to say that during the years, there were very few people who would speak to us at the courthouse. And there was a guy that I kind of ran shotgun with by the name of Judge Cleo Steele. And Judge Ovard was always, just so helpful and so accessible. I mean, even to the point that one of those national news stories, I guess they didn't have anything else to do, they kind of featured us, Judge. But this family I've known for almost 40 years. Been a commissioner for 9 with Judge Steele. But Judge Ovard has been, as they say, on the ground. He has always been very balanced. You've always been able to appeal to him in terms of doing the right thing. And I think that's the only thing we ever ask of our judiciary. As I said, we don't really want justice, we really want mercy. I think, Pastor Rush, is that correct? That's it. But I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your service. And as Commissioner Cantrell said, I mean, you just continue to plow through regardless. I mean, there were no barriers. In the black church, there's a song that says, I won't complain. And, never seen you complain, Judge. You just continue to plow through. And so thank you for your service. Thank you to the family for sharing you with us. And you just, as we used to say on the picket line, you just keep on coming. So today at 2 o'clock, we will make this all very official, and we will brand that courtroom so that not only our constituents now, but in the future, will recognize that you traverse this way.
And Judge, thank you for your faith, and thank you for what you've contributed to Dallas County. You've made this county a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Anything you want to say, Judge? I mean, I've never known you not to have something to say.
Well, I usually have a lot to say, but on this occasion, it's overwhelming. It's difficult to realize that I won't be coming down to these courthouses that I've been coming down to now for over 4 decades, well over four decades in different capacities, 3 different types of judge, the district attorney's office with some of the background you heard, and I've always had a good relationship with the Commissioner's Court, and I want to thank the public that's elected me over and over. When they did the story about Commissioner Price and I, although at that time he was coordinator for Judge Cleophas Steele, they kind of featured me as what's going on with the criminal district courts system. Then they asked Coordinator Price to explain how it all worked. which he willingly explained to them. Yes, I just wanted to introduce, I have some family members here as well. Well, you met Wendy and David, and I think, and the other back here, Jeannie, I have these challenges to work with that God's given me this challenge, but then He gave me this angel that just unbelievable to have such a loving, beautiful wife to help in this regard. I want to thank all of you for this honor, for those of you that I work with. I'll just tell you one thing that was kind of interesting when I was visiting. One of my volunteer jobs that I really enjoy is visiting patients in a small hospital out here. And as I was going around visiting, I asked a doctor friend of mine whether I should say that I'm a judge. And he said, "Oh yeah, that'll impress him." So I kind of used that, and some of them weren't. But one lady, he looked at me and he said, "What was that name?" And I said, "John Ovard." He said, "Yep, you're the one that sent me down there." He said, "But I'll tell you what," he said, "Judge, there's some bad people down there." And I'm not one of them. He said, "I'm just one of those shysters." Sometimes you never know what you get into, but I just thank everyone so much for appreciation working with the justice system. Has been such an honor, and this that you bestowed on me is something, of course, I'll cherish as long as I'm here. Thank all of you so much.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is our Health and Human Services presentation. Okay.
Judge, Commissioner, we'll be brief. We'll give a quick update on West Nile and Zika. We're ready to move slide 2. I'm going to turn over to the top doc, Dr. Perkins.
Thank you, Director Thompson. Good morning, Commissioners, Court, citizens of Dallas County. I'm giving you the most recent arboviral report that includes the clinical. To date, as far as West Nile virus confirmed cases within Dallas County, we have a total of 14. 7 are neuroinvasive, 7 are West Nile fevers. In regards to Zika, we have 21 confirmed cases at the time of the publication of this report. Since then, we have an additional for a total of 22 confirmed human cases, all associated with travel of some sort. As far as pregnant women with possible Zika infections, we're at a total of 12. That concludes our clinical update for arboviral threat to Dallas County. Thanks. In regards to the Zika, the Florida area has, in north of Miami, has active transmission of Zika in the local mosquitoes. So the CDC has issued a health advisory, and we forward that on to the medical community, warning pregnant women or women that are also considering pregnancy that they take the same precautions as if they were going to the tropics, if they go into the area of Miami-Dade County, and that they should take advanced protective measures or avoid the area altogether. And that's the health advisory that was issued on yesterday from the CDC.
So, just to remind the court, we'll go to the next slide, Ryan, that next one. So we focused on efforts, the additional efforts. We are operating our emergency operation room daily in terms of getting information out of Florida in terms of their response effort. We've also been meeting weekly with Dr. Perkins has been leading a team looking at the reconnaissance as it relates to the mosquito control efforts in Dallas County. To kind of segue into West Nile and come back to Zika, we've only received 5 cities that are interested in aerial spraying. We're waiting for next steps. We have a follow-up conference call with them as well tomorrow to look at specific timelines or if their interest is still there. And then going back to Zika, we are definitely focused on what's going on in the response effort. I think the key point is the CDC had already asked people not to travel to those endemic countries. We're seeing that the travel is still consistent. We're seeing that with the positive imported cases that we see here in Dallas County. And so the fact that we see the outbreak in Florida is not a shock. It was to be expected when you have travelers. So again, we're going to encourage Dallas County residents, North Texas residents, if they're traveling to those areas, to please consider maybe not traveling, but definitely using mosquito repellent upon your return. Definitely stay indoors if you're a confirmed case. The concern is that during that period that they have mild symptoms, they could be in the community around their home where the mosquitoes could bite them and start the localized transmission. To date, because I don't believe in the fear factor, we'll let other people do that. The concept is that there's no positive mosquito traps for Zika or mosquitoes carrying the Zika virus to date in Dallas County. We have, and I thank the Commissioner's Court for the mosquito control contract that we have, where we're already trapping Aedes species mosquitoes, and none have come up positive. And so we do have a contractor that is able to do the testing and trapping of those mosquitoes.
One of the things you didn't say, and thank you, as Chairman of Public Health Advisory, we had a very thorough conversation with all of our cities. It was very clear with what this department has done in terms of leadership. And I think this court knows, but I want the public to understand that you are recognized. This department is recognized in terms of everything from Zika on back to how we have been prepared to move forward with regards to this. And while we continue to talk about Zika, and I understand all of that, I think the fact is that West Nile is here. It's a challenge for us, and the department seems to be on top of it. So.
Well, and I want to commend the 25 municipalities. This has been a great team effort. They have been engaged. Of course, we'll take lessons learned from this mosquito season and really implement some new perspectives as we go into next year's planning. But to date, they have discussed with us their challenges, and that's good. And now we can look at our next steps for next year's planning. And I think it's a lesson learned each year that we've been able to look at the mosquito data. And that's the key point. The data has been driving the conversation.
And that data, Mr. Thompson, has changed. You have a better insight in the number of traps we have learned during all those years. What do you think is, what has been most important for all of us as a county?
Well, I want to commend the Dallas County citizens. They have been using mosquito repellent, and they've been removing the standing water. I think as we go forward, the key point is still going to look at that ecosystem for Dallas County, and why we're seeing the consistent amount of breeding of mosquitoes in this area. And so as Dr. Perkins has been leading that team in terms of looking at that, that is a challenge. Why we're seeing abundance in one trap, for example, it was up to around 3,000 mosquitoes in one trap. So we have to begin to look at in the ecosystem what is actually going on, what's contributing to the breeding. And I think we're going to have to do an education now to talk about next year. As we talk with our cities about aerial spraying, we really have to have that conversation about preemptive spraying. We'd like to be able to talk about aerial spraying and actually execute aerial spraying in the month of July, not wait until we see the numbers going up. So I think that's one of our number one priorities as we go into next year's discussion. So let me be clear. It's not that we're saying aerial spraying only. We're saying education, ground spraying, and really getting our citizens understanding that there is a heavy burden on these cities in trying to respond to these number of cases that we're seeing without having the aerial capability. So this is just one tool that we've always had in our arsenal, but as you know, we always run up against different opinions on that.
Right, and we're going to have to look into the resistance of some of these mosquitoes. As I was reading the other day in some of your information, the Zika virus mosquito is very resistant to any kind of pesticide.
Right, right.
So how much is all this spraying is doing in the resistance of the West Nile virus? It's going to be, good information and good education on how we move forward in the future. So.
Right. I think on the West Nile virus, I am concerned about what we're hearing about the resistance on the Zika virus, and so I've reached out to my counterparts in Florida to get feedback on what actual pesticide or chemicals they're using, and so that is a concern. But that's a discussion that we're going to have with our cities, with our contractors, and so we can look at that. But that's a key point. A lot of things are unknown, and so that's why we're moving forward to make sure that we have lessons learned from Florida. I've also requested from Chief Bass if we can get the situational reports out of Florida. That will help us in terms of looking at what resources have been utilized down there as we plan.
Part of the resistance has been when we've tried to alert the public to stop misting. A number of cities are misting, and as a result, they are creating what some of us call the, quote, super mosquito.
Right.
And that has contributed.
And so that's why we do yearly resistance testing.
Great. Thank you. I also want to thank you for your leadership, Mr. Thompson, Dr. Perkins.
I would just like to commend the director, too, for his willingness to do community education wherever it is. On Saturday, we were at the Lockwood Library in East Dallas talking about this with the community. But I also wanted a little bit of clarification. As I understand it, the aerial spraying that we're talking about right now is so that we just have another tool in our kit to be prepared. It's not necessarily that every place is going to use it. Is that a correct understanding?
We would call it targeted spraying, and so that's what we're focused on. I think the key point is we have to have that in our tool belt at each year coming forward, is that whether we're talking wide area, but at this point we're talking targeted spraying. And so at this point, no one has stepped up to say they actually are ready to move forward, but we've got the letter of interest. But it is categorized as targeted spraying.
It's being prepared, it's being ready.
Yeah, prepared, ready to go. Just waiting on those cities. Y'all authorized, the Commissioners Court authorized that we can move forward if the cities are ready to move forward. And so we wait for their next steps.
Thank you very much for your leadership to Dr. Perkins.
Anything else? The city manager?
Continue on. I'm not going to rearrange anything right now. Texas Department of City Transportation.
Oh, okay. So the Texas Department of Transportation was inadvertently put on the agenda. Okay. They will be coming on August 16th with their presentation.
With regards to my two, will be a continuation, and we'll we'll talk about maybe 4 at the appropriate time, right, not right now. You want to move the consent agenda, Judge?
Yes, is that a motion?
Second.
All right. And I've got a motion. I've got a motion, a second on consent agenda. Any discussion? I'll let you get
Commissioner Cantrell.
Price, then Cantrell. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Court orders K, Judge. I want to, with this part of the motion to suspend, I want to move,
We got to, let me, because there's some other pulls.
some more pulls? Okay,
Yeah,
pull.
okay. So can I get a motion to move court orders K1 through 67 and addendums K68 through 76, pulling 3, 4, 35, 68 for separate votes, and also pulling 8, and I think pulling 8 for a later, pulling 8 because we've already done it.
Yeah.
And pulling 74 and 75 for closed session, and pulling 73.
For closed session as well, right?
Pulling 73 for, Mr. Garza is getting some information that he's been trying to obtain from the consultant, and when he gets that, he'll quickly get a report to the court, and we can get it on our next agenda, or if necessary, have a special meeting.
Judge, we're pulling 3, 4, 8.
Yes, let me say all that, that's a lot, so let me say all that again slowly.
Okay.
All right, so we have court orders K1 through 67 and addendums to K68 through 76, pulling 3, 4, 35, and 68 for separate votes, pulling 73, and pulling 74 and 75 for after closed session. And that's a motion I'm asking for. I believe Commissioner Price is making the motion.
Okay, just one minute, let me type this in.
Now, on, while she's typing it in, we didn't remove court order 5. And I do want some discussion on that court order 5 with regards to those pretrial officers. The more I read that Stepping Up initiative, there doesn't seem to be anything that basically talks about why we definitely, we don't approve budgets where we don't talk about what we expect to be the outcomes. And in the Stepping Up initiative, there is, how many people are those 2 individuals going to do? Number 2, I read a memo that said that the district attorney's office and the public defender's office, under the sections under which it's authorized, have not come to an agreement with regards to who will be, quote, released. That is supposed to be the mission of the program. So if you don't have those 2 individuals basically coming to some agreement, and then I see pre-trial, are they going to be doing 4 or 5 a day? Or are they going to be doing 20 a day?
Commissioner, I want to continue that, but we don't have a second yet to discuss that. Is there anyone that can second this?
Second.
Everything except the ones we pulled.
I move.
Okay, there's a second. Keep going.
Okay, sorry. I thought I got a second.
No, you did move.
Okay, I moved it.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I understand where I'm going, somebody, my problem is too much, Mr. Stitt, that there's too much ambiguity. I've never seen, a program put forward, and it seems to be a lot of issues still looming out there with regards to, whether or not, what do we expect from the program? Like I said, if it's 5 or 6, then it won't impact public defender's office, and they probably can handle it. If it's 15, they've got to ramp up a total different way. So I'm just trying to figure out why.
Understood. Currently, the work groups are working together. There's a bond supervision work group. There's a work group that's working towards community services that are out there. And then there's a group that's working towards the type of assessments and who will be doing the assessments. One of the work groups that the DA's office and the public defenders are part of is working on an agreement so that there is not any basic real conversation about the cases that are being sent to the judge for possible PR bonds.
But section, I'm trying to remember.
1622?
Yeah, it precludes a certain amount of the population, and then the two of them have got to come together to decide, I'm just trying to figure out impact.
The impact that I found out the other day and was just looking at what those numbers would be like, and it's about 20 a day.
Okay, so if you're talking about 20 a day, I guess what I'm asking, either public defender's office, DA's office, are they going to be able to deal with 20 a day as opposed to 4 or 5 a day?
One of the things that they're doing is working on a waiver so that the offenses that do meet the criteria and are able to go before a judge for a PR bond, that they are not going to contest those. But they are still working towards that end.
But they haven't come to any agreement. According to my memos, everything I've read,
Good morning, Commissioners. I've been trying to get some answers to how many people we think the Stepping Up initiative will affect, because it has an effect on whether or not we have the staff to address that. We have been involved, when I say we, the District Attorney's Office, the Public Defender's Office, other stakeholders have been involved in the planning, and we can't seem to get a clear understanding about how many people we're talking about. And there is no money in the grant, as I understand it, that will be given to either the DA's office or the Public Defender's Office to staff this, although there may be money in the grant to staff pretrial. So the concern that we have is if the goal is to immediately identify and assess these individuals to determine whether we can release them in the community, that's going to require the agreement between the DA's office, the Public Defender's Office, and the judge. So we can do assessments and we can have recommendations, but if the parties don't agree. As far as the PD's office and the DA's office, we're trying to work towards a memorandum of understanding to agree who will be eligible for this. 1622-17032 has some definite exclusions, and the DA's office wants some additional exclusions. So my concern is that the number of individuals, I know you're going to stop.
That's because I'm getting ready.
Plan, isn't
Before you do that, I got a question. So do you all two feel like you need more information, right?
Yes.
And how long will it take to get the information?
We are beyond the stage of just looking at what our status is. And so now we're moving towards the implementation phase. So I think we still have about 6 months or so before.
Well, I think Commissioner Price is liable to pull this here in a second. Can anybody point to any problem with doing that as far as slowing this up? It looks like to me there's time to pull it, right?
Yeah, I don't see an issue with pulling it, because part of the plan is to do the assessment. We're at the final stages of pulling those numbers together and having a better idea of what is the impact, because that's just part of the whole planning process, and then to seek those additional funding sources to cover some of the costs. So
I guess, Commissioner, my concern is if pretrial is going to add some additional officers, and apparently the request is to have the county pay for those and fund it through January, then that means that we're moving forward. So I am concerned, because if we don't have the staff, I don't want pretrial to do those assessments and they go, hey, we need a PD or DA to come up immediately and address this, because the people won't get out. I don't know how we're going to staff that, and I don't want to be in a position where they say, well, the PD's office or the DA's office slowed this process down because we simply just don't have the resources or the staff. Now, again, if it's only going to be 4 or 5 a day, that's something that we probably can handle, but I can't seem to get an understanding or get an answer to how many we anticipate this doing. If we're going to move forward with it, I want to make sure that we're on board and we're able to provide those services.
Okay.
Mr. Steele, do you?
Once again, I believe that the number is going to be about 20 that we'll be assessing, but that number might, come down to 4 or 5 as it relates to what the judge is willing to release.
Okay.
So, I mean, we're just trying to gear up, get the staff on board, get them trained, and start the process of learning the ORAS PAT risk assessment, getting the process down packed so that we can.
But Captain, it's like you flying them airplanes. Once you get at a certain altitude, them gauges ain't working. Gotcha. Anyway, I'm on my motion I'm going to withdraw 5 right now, and if the second agrees.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, just one moment, I have to redo it.
Yeah,
Okay.
And Ms. Richardson, who is it that needs to get you the information?
I'm working with Messina Matson, and we're trying to reach an agreement. And so we have a meeting coming up because we don't have an agreement about who is eligible for the immediate release and the sharing of information. So that's first on the agenda, to get that agreement for us to participate, to make sure that we cover what information can be shared and what can be used, what information can be used in the process. So we are working towards that goal. We've shared information, we've met a couple of times, and we're hoping to reach an agreement.
And how long will it take, how long do you think this is going to take you?
I'm waiting for a representative from the Criminal Justice Department to get back with me on a meeting date. He has contacted me and said he was getting in contact with the judge and the DA's office to come up with a meeting so we can get together and see if we can reach an agreement. So I would expect in the next couple of weeks, depending on the availability of Judge Lewis and Messina Matson.
Okay.
Got the motion, second to withdraw.
Okay.
Second.
Do we need to vote on that? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So 5 has been pulled and withdrawn. I'm going to read something in the record real fast as we go on with our discussion. Court Order 73, issuance of the sale of Dallas County combination of tax and parking garage revenue certificates of obligation, Series 2016, will be heard at the next meeting of the Commissioners Court, and that's due to the fact that it's been noticed. Thanks, Ben. Let's continue.
Hold on, she didn't get a chance to hear you.
Yeah, can you speak up,
I'm
please?
sorry.
Court Order 73.
This is required because it's been published in the paper. Court Order 73, issuance and sale of Dallas County, Texas, combination tax and parking garage revenue certificates of obligation, Series 2016, will be heard at the next meeting of the Commissioners Court.
Okay,
Okay. So that's that.
but the other court orders you voted on.
We haven't voted on them yet. Just, they're on the.
Okay.
Is there any discussion on any of the rest of them? Let's see if anybody's, any comments on the non-pulled court orders that we're voting on now? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
With regards to Court Order K4, the maximum tax rate on the Dallas County Hospital District, I so move.
I second.
And Judge, I'd like to make a substitute motion.
All right.
The substitute motion for Court Order number 4 will be setting it at the effective rate of 26.7119, and I make that motion.
I'll second it only for the purpose of discussion. So go ahead, if you want to say something. If you don't, then that's fine, then.
Well, I'll just say, the reason why I'm looking at the effective rate for Parkland is because we don't have the senior citizens tax freeze for Parkland Hospital. And so elderly people will definitely see an increase in their taxes on that. So I believe setting this maximum rate at the effective rate would be in order.
Any, I have looked at that. I'm very sympathetic to tax relief. This year, we're seeing people socked at the low ends, renters and people with homes under $250,000. I've looked at one side and another, visited numerous times at Parkland, visited with Ryan till after regular work hours last night, and there's no way I can make those numbers work in my mind to take Parkland to the effective rate. I do favor providing tax relief and lowering the rate at Parkland, but I can't lower it that much because there's no way to balance their budget that I can find. But I want to continue working with you and to see how you would do it. And I want to give you the opportunity to speak by seconding it.
And I can appreciate and understand, and again, as a person who was the only member of this court, the prior courts, to vote against the Citizens Senior Tax Freeze, which has to date, if my calculations are correct, cost Dallas County about $13 million. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And we are the only operating jurisdiction who did that. But as you said, we did not do it for Parkland. At the same time, Parkland with $100 million hole, latest information data that we received, they may be up to $79 million, even with this maximum tax rate. And that's, they're plugged in. I think that the difference between the 7.5% that they had calculated and the 10.09 they calculated is about $13 million. What were your numbers?
13 million.
Between the effective rate and the current rate?
Well, no.
No, he's asked.
No, I'm talking about the regular rate where I've set it at the maximum, which is my motion.
And the 7.5.
Right.
Existing rate and 7.5.
What you've called the judge's rate and what is the existing rate, and what I want to substitute the word judges to.
That's a $14 million delta. That's a $14 million
14,
delta.
so I said 13. Okay, my count.
Well, Parkland thinks it's 13.1, so.
Well, and I thought, it was 13.1, or 14 million, $1 billion budget, the point is that, like I said, there are $100 million, in the hole, and, the maximum tax rate still gives them some great challenges. As I've told them, they still got some challenges ahead. And so I wanted to be clear on the record about why I'm saying at the maximum tax rate.
Not only that, when we talk about Parkland, one of the things that I have said here many times is the fact that we talk about health all the time. Right here, we just hear a briefing about how important is the health of Dallas County. And Parkland is the only hospital in the North Texas region that actually takes care of the working poor, the people that we're trying to help, the people that really need the help, sometimes, in an emergency. And one of the things that we've seen is, with the current lack of Medicaid expansion by the state, the current new laws that are coming up when it comes to intergovernmental transfers for indigent care, are not going to be there. Guys, we want to, if we do this, it will really be, in my opinion, it will really be in detriment for the health care of Dallas County residents. I'm pretty sure that at this point, I will support Commissioner Price's motion to keep it at the rate that we are. You know, it has worked for Parkland. Last year was a difficult budget for the hospital. This year, like it's been said, you know, I believe they will still have, you know, with all the numbers that I've seen, at least a $34 million gap. You know, what are we doing with this proposal? It's just crazy.
And as much as I would like to see that we would give a tax break to any of our residents in Dallas County, I would tend to agree that the public hospital in Dallas County is part of a much larger healthcare system, not only in Texas, but in the United States, and very, very engaged in that discussion of how do we provide the best public health care to our residents. Also, having talked with the director at Parkland, that they are working on a number of means to address that 100.1 million deficit, and have been successful in bringing it down significantly, and are still looking at a number of areas where they feel that they can isolate costs and reassess in order to bring that down. So I would like to see what can be done between now and the time that we do make a final vote on that tax rate. Would like to hear what the public has to say at their public hearing as far as other means of addressing not only the provision of health care, but how do we best provide that. So at this time, I'm going to hold judgment on whether or not that rate should be changed, just to see what can be done on balancing that budget.
And to make clear to everyone, today is a decision on setting the rate that is advertised, the rate that we have hearings on. So we are setting a maximum rate to have those hearings today. Now, we can't go over that maximum rate if in the hearing someone decides they'd like for Parkland to raise taxes by $1. That can't happen. If after hearing the evidence and thinking about this further and looking at whatever members of the court choose to look at, they choose to go with a number that is less than the number that's chosen today, they are free to do so.
Well, but I want to be clear, and you know, even if you talk about the effective rate, and keep in mind, you know, you keep throwing up, and I hear the commingling and kind of the gibberish in terms of the so-called middle class. This is commercial values as well as residential values. And Mr. Ames, let me first of all thank the Dallas County Appraisal District. Within 43 days, you've done more than any other appraisal district in this country. You took on more protests. You affirmed more, and the values are what the values are. I saw how many you took and lowered, but very few. I mean, the age of computerization has made that extremely challenging.
Well, and Mr. Nolan and his staff have had a long tenure of dealing with the appraisals. They do an excellent job of making sure that everybody's voice is heard and they can hear those protests as quickly as possible, so that entities such as Dallas County can make decisions accurately.
Yeah, and thank you.
We appreciate you.
Have they completed with their protests?
Oh, yes. Oh,
They
yeah.
have completed them?
They have a very small subset last year, but the majority of all their protests are completed, and they certified the roll higher than they probably, the percentage of values that were ready to certify as high as they normally do, which is way above the maximum standard for the state.
Judge, let me. Go ahead. With regards to Parkland, you know, they were looking at around $100 million shortfall. They've done, like Commissioner Daniel said, they've worked that down to about $79 million. And like Commissioner Price said, even with the existing rate, they're not going to be able to cover that hole. Parkland has a serious financial problem, and they're going to have to do something to address that. And dipping into the taxpayer's pocket for more money isn't necessarily going to solve their problem, because it's systemic. It involves the federal government. It involves the state government. There's got to be a model change to take place, just like across the country these other public hospitals have done, where they've lowered the tax rate by 50%, if not down to like 10%. And when the Affordable Care Act passed, people thought they would see that type of reduction in the hospital district tax rate. I understand Medicaid rollout and those kinds of things, but by the same token, we're asking our taxpayers to stand up and bear more of the burden because of what's taking place at the state and national level, when we need to be looking at the models and the levels of service that we have.
And I agree with you, Commissioner. In fact, I think I was the one, you check the record, challenged Dr. Cerise with finding some alternatives to managing that budget. I guess what bothers me, even with the effective rate, what are we talking about? $30? What, $40?
Yeah, it's a difference of $21 on a $100,000 home.
I mean, I get it.
Effective rate? It's $10.29.
That's what they would pay. And then if the existing rate would be $31.
But let's talk about the $10.23, because that's not a real $10.23, because it's based on a formula.
I got it.
But realistically, it'd be zero.
Right.
So,
Average taxpayer.
But you also have new construction. How much in new value, new growth
There was
value?
$4.4 billion.
Almost $5
Okay,
billion.
so what would that translate to?
What you're saying then is that in reality, that would be a zero impact on a
Right.
person with $1,000 house?
$100,000, $120,000 house.
Yeah,
That's right.
explain that, Ryan.
It has to do with the effective rate calculation and the way that is done. You take the existing tax rate, or taxes that are collected, and you pull out new construction, you pull off debt service, you recalculate what the rate would be to maintain it at the same tax collection level. Then you add back in debt service, and then you add back in the new construction. When you do that, it has an effect on the effective rate that causes this anomaly when you look at a chart, where it's going to show that it's going to be a small tax increase even at the effective rate because of the way the debt service flows and changes between the two things. If Dallas County has the same thing, because we're going to be issuing the $200 million debt, it does have an impact on the effective rate calculation that causes it to show an increase in taxes.
But it's a big difference between $200 million and that flow and Parkland through the year of 2044 and $40 million a year.
Correct.
Okay, so I don't want to do the apples and oranges. My problem is at the end of the day, you're basically asking, taxpayers. Now I hear Commissioner Cantrell again. I challenge Dr. Cerise. In fact, I don't think there's anybody, whether it's been the capital side or the operational side, that has challenged Parkland more than I have. Okay, and I said when they build it, they're gonna come. I don't think they appropriately planned on the capital side, and as a result, there's overrun, and as a result, operation. That's one of the reasons they're still there on both sides of Harry Hines, if you will. But anyway, and by the way, I finally got those numbers. That's $6 million still on the west side that they did. I've been after that number for 2 years, so I just got it. My point is at the end of the day, we're talking to taxpayers about $30 in terms of, individually. I think when I looked at the bill, Mr. Ames, I think I saw 828,000 accounts.
That is correct.
Okay, so when I got that, I did the calculations, and while as Commissioner Cantrell said, it won't even begin to meet. They've got some serious challenges. When we get to the Dallas County side, that makes a marked difference with our, $8, $10 with regards to those parcels. Because we get paid on the parcels. Okay? I understand all of this, but when the taxpayer gets that $400 bill, in terms of the increase, $30, $40 is Dallas County. That's it.
Total.
That's it. Not 400. I mean, we collecting for everybody, but it's not us. we have continued to have the lowest tax rate of urban counties and of all counties throughout the state. We have been extremely frugal. So I just want to keep throwing that on the table. Parkland still got the challenges, even at the max. They got a real challenge. I said that the other day to Dr. Cerise, I said it to Dr. Parnell, the chair, my appointee. You got a problem. You got to figure out what you cut in services. That's bottom line. Even with max, but effective, it's no needing, scraping the marrow, on the bone. We're going to do that anyway before it's all over.
Well, I think I've lost my second anyway, so we're good.
Well,
Yeah, you did.
before you lose your second, let me say a few things about the Parkland situation. To be fair to Dr. Cerise and everyone at Parkland, 32 states now have taken the Medicaid expansion money. If we had the Medicaid expansion money in Dallas County, if the state had chosen to take it, we could dramatically cut our Parkland taxes and insure over 200,000 more people. But Dr. Cerise and the team at Parkland don't have that because our state hasn't taken the money. Also, our federal partners and our state partners have changed the rules midstream on our nursing home
That's right.
rules. And I had a meeting last week face-to-face with people in the White House about that, and Dr. Cerise is having a meeting face-to-face with the health commissioner tomorrow about that, and that's an unfair $10 million hit to us. There are things in this budget that GAAP accounting does not require us to write off $100 million of a $1.3 million hospital. billion-dollar hospital this year. A more realistic number is probably about $45 million, and so that largely gets us down into a workable number. Hospitals of this size moving into these new buildings, it's only prudent, and even in good financial times, they would look at what positions are non-clinical care positions are not efficient to maintain, and they'll be looking at that, I believe. Further, if they do cut positions, the positions that they cut, over half of them will likely be positions that aren't even filled right now. So I do think there's an opportunity for Parkland to balance its budget at less than the existing rate. I will not support today of the vote, as I assume Commissioner Cantrell likely won't either, to stay at the existing rate. I can see a way to make the Parkland budget work, and I think Parkland can too, if we cut the Parkland taxes down to 28.55 cents. So if it were, it's not up to me because this is a body vote, but if it were up to me, I would lower their rate to that amount. Having said all that, and we've had a good discussion today, and we can keep it, I hope everyone, me included, will keep an open mind to all the information that we receive, but I will withdraw the second and not require the commissioners to take a vote.
So my motion fails for lack of second.
But Judge, and give all the information. Keep in mind, Parkland told us last year they had a balanced budget, and they had a $35 million hole. And last quarter, they had to go in and cut $30 million. So apparently they didn't have a balanced budget. That was last year.
Well, and they feel confident that they will close that, as they do every year, they will have that gap closed by the end of the year.
And the cash on hand continues to go down.
That's exactly right. When this court wrestled that, not this court, prior courts in 1999, I guess nobody was around here. Well, but all I'm saying is, we had to wrestle. Yeah, well, we had to wrestle it. No, we had to wrestle. We've seen this before, and it's because of cash on hand. And I think they got less than 30 days cash on hand. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, so they got less than 30 days. This court, when we wrestled it away before, We took them back up almost 3 months. 90 days, cash on hand. We put together a task force.
Debt-free.
Huh?
And debt-free.
And debt-free. It was this court that had the rest of the way. I mean, you got a lot of nice people out at Parkland. But I mean, I'm just telling you, if it's the same thing we've been saying. You know, nobody's minding the ship. You can talk about that $100 million that the state of Texas won't take every month. You know, $1 billion too. We can talk about that. But at the same time, we didn't have this problem 10 years ago, or I guess 16 years ago, and we had the same issue. Wow. And we had to grab it, Commissioner Garcia, and wrestle them and make them, you know, as the Commissioner said, not only give them 90 days cash on hand, but debt-free. But it took this court to do that. It took this court, and until we do that, they'll still have challenges, but anyway.
Right, and you know, Commissioner, I mean, with all the respect, I totally understand what you're saying, but with that picture, you know, today, you know, in good conscience, we just cannot do it right now.
No, for all of those reasons, in my view, I think that we should keep the status quo as it is, watch very carefully, which we always do anyway, on that particular budget, see what avenues will be researched and what creative ways they can find to address the shortfall there. Because we do have a smidgen of time to hear from the public, to see what they're going to do, and to come up by September the 18th with a reasonable answer.
And regardless of the changes that Parkland does, you know, when it comes to health, you know, we're going to be, you know, pushed to the limit, you know, not to cut as many services as.
Call the question.
All right, question has been called. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay. All right, motion
I'm
carries.
sorry. Judge, did you vote nay?
I voted nay. Motion carries 3-2.
Okay, court order 3 is.
Just one moment, Commissioner.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Court order 3?
Court order 3 is before us with reference to the Dallas County maximum tax rate, or so moved.
Second.
Judge, I have a substitute court order. For court order number 3, substituting the rate of 24.31 with the effective rate of 22.6385.
All right, and I'll second that motion. You want to lay anything out?
No.
I've got a few comments on that. Looking at that, and I won't be pulling my second to that, because I do think we can make that number work. I think what we'll see from the cities, and we'll get better glimpses of this over the next week as the cities lay out their budget, is a pay increase with the cities. Now, I think a lot of theirs might be merit-based and ours is structural, but around 3%. And we can, with the effective rate, Ryan has assured me that we can scrape together a 3% structural increase for our employees. It's less than we had hoped to give the employees, certainly, but at the same time, what we're seeing with this unusual situation is the burden is falling disproportionately on renters and people in houses under $250,000. Houses in suburbs like Cedar Hill and Rowlett and Garland, if your house is worth more than $500,000, you're only seeing your appraisals go up about 3%. But if your house is worth $200,000, you're seeing your appraisals go up more than 10%. And so I'm always open to listening and discussing, but if it were my sole vote today, I would set the effective rate.
Mr. Graham, did we did this court totally unanimously engage the Hay study?
Yes.
And what was the result for the public, the Hay study with reference to Dallas County?
On average, 15% below market.
And 15% under market?
Yes.
Yes.
And some areas had as much as 30% under market.
Right.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
And the Hayes study is a compensation study with regards to our employees, right?
Yes.
And so with that, based on a 3% proposal, which we've basically been doing for forever and amen, if we did the 3%, this has been a banner year, how long would it take us probably to be on par, using just a 15, not the average of 15 and the 30?
Actually, with the 3% increase this year, you'd actually go backwards because it's anticipated.
Wait. And with a 3% this year, you actually retreat?
Yes, because the economy has moved in excess of 3%, so giving a 3% would be less than what is anticipated. The economy has moved. So
let me ask you a couple of questions on that if I could. Let's take, for instance, the city of Dallas or the county of Tarrant. Is that our competition?
actually, when we do surveys, we actually do, based on the position, we do national survey and we do regional survey. Typically, non-exempt positions is typically regional. For positions, executive level positions and high level management positions is a national survey. So Hay uses a combination of both.
But most of our employees are hired locally, correct? They don't move
Yes.
here from, say,
Yes.
Pittsburgh.
But our employees, and I'll use elections, we've seen people that are 3 or 4 down in elections, and you've lost at least 10 to 12% of your individuals to the city of Dallas and even to Ellis County.
Yeah.
That pays, is that correct? It pays a lot more. I mean, you're talking about people who leave here who make more than our number 2 and number 3 people. In those 2 examples you just gave, City of Dallas, and that's one department. I can give you some.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but
all I'm saying is I know first hand, because we've arm wrestled with this as she and her department is saying, look, you're expecting us to hold elections, and an individual who is 4 or 5 down from the chain goes to the City of Dallas and comes up to number 2. And then somebody goes to Ellis County. Your home guy, and makes more money than we can even begin to pay them here. So we're already, according to the market, paying people at 15, and I know it's a policy decision, at 15% under. Is that correct?
15% based on Dallas County's philosophy.
That's my point. Yeah. Anyway, that's Saturday Night Live. Anyway, my point is with that, and we understand that, and we manage that, and that's what I said. So, but now we have the first opportunity to talk about bringing out. We even had certain departments from the DA to the engineering that we've had to talk about. People can walk in from outside and make more than our people who have the experience and have been working for Dallas County. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so we, come on.
Let's take it a little further. Not only that, has not happened in Dallas County. The other part of this equation is the fact that most of our workforce is an old workforce. They're going to start retiring. I was looking at the numbers of the increase, Judge, in our health plan, UIMPs.
Not elderly.
They are, we're about to increase based on that too. That our workforce is older. We're not attracting the future workforce of Dallas County. And that's the other point that the Hayes study mentioned, but I just seen it because in our budget, and Mr. Brown knows that because he already sent a memo last week saying, get ready, you're going to have an increase of 9% in health premiums. Why? Because he's translating those numbers into our health. Obviously, our young workforce, pays, and goes to the doctor less than our older workforce. So talking about health again, it's very easy to say, let me give you $9 today, but in the long run, I'm going to have to charge you $20 in the less than 10 years that are coming, Judge. Why? Because you are not taking your workforce into the next century.
And 9% is $60 million.
So you want to help the middle classes, you want to help, the working poor, let's start with our own workforce so we can be competitive in the workplace with health. Thank you, Commissioner Price, and I'm not even halfway through, So the reality, can I just finish, Judge? The reality is just looking at our budget. Not what the media, not what Facebook, not what everything is going on right now in politics, but at the numbers, at the budget that you and the five of us are getting. This is not only crazy, it's darn crazy, because we will be killing ourselves in less than 3 years.
I've never heard you curse. Damn crazy.
No, I didn't say that. I say darn.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't say that.
I got you.
I don't even know them in English, only in Spanish. Anyway, with that being said, guys, in all seriousness, Judge, I wish, I think everybody in this body would like to give a tax break. God knows that nobody likes to pay taxes. But the reality is, looking at the future is our job. We're administrators for Dallas County. And hey, we unanimously vote, to do the Hay study because we knew. We have talked about this many times, that we are moving forward. And now, look what's going on. We're just getting trapped in politics and not looking at those numbers. Makes no sense.
And Ryan, I did. Did you put?
Which slide do you want?
Just drop it. But I think at the end of the day, basically, that becomes the change in terms of, and you can say what you want to say. I hear that about the city of Dallas, and I think I've joined Dr. Garcia in saying it's okay to get the Facebook editorial, so forth. But at the end of the day, with their challenges, I really want to see that happen. And again, I live in the city, so I'm okay. I just want to see how they're going to make the numbers work. And of course, we won't say anything about the Dallas Independent School District. That's for the voters to say. Whether or not they're going to add 13 cents, not 13 cents, but that's for you, the voters. If it's kind of like you're parking whatever. If you want to add 13 cents, that's on you. But what I'm saying is they're definitely not going to cut. They're going to take advantage of everything 10.09. And I've got some cities, and I'm glad to see my mayor from DeSoto. Here today, they finally, caught up, and I look at the difference between what's happening on the commercial side and the residential side. I look at the number of residential. You had 649,000. You had 75,000 commercial accounts, and we saw what happened with regard to the Southern Sector Fund. But they've been the last in line. But Dr. Garcia said, it starts at home, and we've got to take care of this workforce. We talked about $60 million for insurance. There's another $49 million, is that correct, on the retirement side. Right. So hey, that's $109 million. You do the math. Do 1%, $3 million. All I'm saying is that at the end of the day, we're taking care of our workforce, and we want to attract some new ones. That elderly workforce is 44 years of age.
That's correct.
So those of us who are ancient, we understand. But I'm just saying we've got to take care of them. We've got a good workforce. The national average turnover is 15%. Dallas County is at 15%. I think the Sheriff's Department is at 13%. So again, the judge from 15 to 30%. And in my R&B, I think ours came in about 28%. So some of them 20 to 28%. I know in the juvenile department, I've got some at that level.
Yes, the higher.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just talking about people who work and shut up every
And
day.
that's without including technology costs. That's without including the unfunded mandate on mental health. I mean, it was Dallas County, the one that paid the money for the transition from North Star to the new model. I mean, we've been supporting, and until the state makes the right payment to the independent school district in education, when we start recording commercial sales, when we start, exempting so many things in the state, it's until those things come forward, Judge, when we're really going to have a way to give our taxpayers, a lower rate and, be more fair. But
Call the question with substitute.
I didn't get to say anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. I withdraw.
Just because I'm respectful of my elders. Come on.
I withdraw.
Thank you very much.
I withdraw.
Because I agree that there is no one who would want to say, we don't want to raise any tax that we don't need to raise, and that we are trying to do our responsibility to all of us sitting here, not only to all of the taxpayers in Dallas County, but to all of our employees in Dallas County. That is a very strong responsibility that we feel here. There are still a number of things that I would like to see before a final decision is made on this, and part of that is looking at the budget details of what are our responsibilities. The mental health is something that the 1115 is covering a lot, but where are we going to stand as far as the match that's going to be required? We've got an old vehicle replacement need out there. What is that going to do to impact us? We're also looking, obviously, at the salary lag and where that's going to fall on the impact on this budget. Also to be aware that Dallas County is part of the larger reality. I'm a little concerned about the unpredictability of the statewide and national scene that we are living in this year. I don't think there's anybody who would disagree that looking forward to the next legislative session has some big question marks related to it. And it's going to impact not only local government, not only the county, but the city, the school districts, et cetera. And we're beginning just to see what those impacts are going to be on our partners in the job that we have to do. I would like to commend past courts also on their ability to maintain a very tight budget while still offering all of the services that needed to be done. That Dallas County still has one of the lowest tax rates in the state, and probably will continue to do that, but it's because of the frugalness of what we do. Would also like to hear what the public has to say, because we not only have the Parkland public hearings, but we also have 2 of our own public hearings. That reality of what our responsibility is as commissioners, I think, has to be taken very seriously. What are our costs? What is going to be that income, and how we can match it up? Looking at the charts too, one person's savings is another person's cost. And how that balances out is something that it is our responsibility to address. And I know that we take that very seriously. So thank you for your indulgence.
Well, and but I want to segregate. Very few times I want to do the hell it gets done anyway. But I want to segregate county. At the end of the day, even if you use the judges.
At the end of the day, it's 9% of the total tax bill.
But my point is, when you look at what the judge's proposal is, or what it was before they just dealing with the effect, or Commissioner Cantrell, either one. If you look at it, you're still talking about $30, or in his proposal,
it's 9% of the total bill.
Well, again, unlike the city, and I'll conclude, unlike the city, they have sales taxes. Again, I'm back to this Senate. They've done better than any of the best Southwest cities, and through good planning, etc. We don't have that. We have one stream, ad valorem property taxes. That's it. Fines and fees are down. Filings are down, civil and criminal. Our collection is non-existent. We have ad valorem taxes. That's it. That's all we have.
Are you advocating cutting?
No.
Oh, yeah. That's
Well, no, you're finna get into those courts.
I'm going to save that for a real argument.
Well, that's fine. But even if you get into cutting that, we're basically going to be talking about, and I've already done those calculations, $855,000 for 3 times 3. Okay, so when you start talking about, that budget, I know he's talking about civil filing and the fact that we've got some courts over there. Everybody's not operating at optimum or maximum. But again, if you do talk about 3 courts, and we'll see what the political will is, you're talking about $855,000. In a multi-million-dollar budget, it's kind of like, again, just the 828,000 parcels makes a difference to Dallas County at $10 or at $12.
That cost may be more than the savings.
Well, and I appreciate the discussion today, talking about how things start at home. If we go to what is on our sheet called the judge's rate, which I prefer to call the budget rate because it was the rate we all worked under the assumption of before May 22nd, we would lower our tax rate to 23.58 cents and still be able to give our employees a 6% across the board structural raise, which is twice the amount as our competitors, Dallas and the cities, are likely to give their employees.
But it puts us behind, Judge. It does not.
I understand that.
We know we have no gain.
With in your mind,
no,
that puts us behind.
No, let's get it clear. In Hayes' mind, 6% does not, with the market shift, with the market, what does 6% do to us?
It's anticipated that the market might move approximately 4% this year, and we get a 6, it'll put us 2 ahead. So it'll take us approximately on average with 15% behind about 7 years to catch up.
And I'm very sympathetic to our employees, and I'd like our employees to get as much raise as they can. And under what's called here the judge's plan or the budget plan, the budget number, they would get a 6% raise. Inflation this year is 1%. So I understand the employees' feelings, the commissioner's feelings, understand all that. At the same time, the money's finite and it comes from somewhere, and unfortunately it comes from the taxpayers that we represent. And none of them are likely to be getting a 6% raise. They'll be lucky to get a cost of living adjustment to keep up with that 1% inflation. But if we pass this existing rate, it will be the largest tax increase in the history of Dallas County on the heels of what has to be, if not the largest 4-year increase, one of the largest 4-year increases. The documents that you're showing that show that taxes have only increased 20%, the appraisals have increased 20%, go back and take in the recession numbers. But if you just take in the numbers of the last 4 years, for a taxpayer that bought a home in 2011, they've seen their appraisal values go up well in excess of that because they did not see those decreases. And this year, homes below $250,000 are all going to be going up above, well, they're going to be capped at 10, but that means they're going to have more money on top of them next year. And Ryan, don't we project that next year it's going to be as ugly as this year for taxpayers and homeowners and renters?
Next year, we're expecting that property values will increase a similar percentage as that they did this
Well,
year.
but that has everything to do with utilization. That, the fact is, he talks about that $200,000. Apparently, he hasn't been out on MLS lately. But the average $200,000 home probably does not last 2 days in Dallas County. A $200,000 home does not last 2 days.
Because someone buys it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Commissioner, keep in mind
And because
that,
we have some of the lowest prices in the nation. Yeah.
here's the thing though.
People are
If-
flocking over here for a reason, and it's because we
Yes.
have taken care of keeping it lower than the rest of the nation.
If a middle-class family sells their $200,000 home and wants to live in the same school district, then they have to buy another home. And the problem that we're seeing now, and you saw in the Dallas Morning News just a couple of days ago, housing starts below 250 in the whole Metroplex are down 19% over the same month last year. We're seeing the extinction of the new $250,000 home, and we're seeing the market increase in homes at the lower values. In the past, what we've seen is an increase in the $500,000 homes going up in the hot neighborhoods. But now what we're seeing is 1970s smaller homes going up 12 and 13%, and that's likely to continue. Whether people are comfortable, as it appears that Commissioner Cantrell and I can become comfortable giving our employees a raise that mirrors what other governmental entities are doing this year, or whether you're comfortable giving them a raise at twice the amount of what other governmental entities are doing this year, we can still provide meaningful tax relief to those people. And I agree it starts at home, but where's our home? Our homes, we have a fiduciary duty to our employees. I totally agree with that. And we've got some great employees here. But we also have a fiduciary duty to all of those people that are paying taxes out there. And this is the largest tax increase in the history of Dallas County. If you don't
$30, Judge. I'm just segregating out the county. I'm not responsible for what happens at the school district or the city. It's the county. We're being penalized for having been frugal all these years. This court, prior courts, we're being penalized.
But no one wants to penalize.
But we are.
Our employees have been.
It's the people that are going to be penalized are the people that are going to pay the higher taxes. And it's a group effort.
Yeah, the costs and the savings. How does that
I understand what you're saying, but everyone could say that. The Dallas County Community College District, the Dallas County schools, each city, everyone could say, we're only a small portion, and there are reasons with the state government why we can't cut. But at the same time, it is a group effort, and you are seeing the city of Dallas working on a budget at 7.5, which will allow them to roll their rate back. You're seeing the Dallas County Community College do that, and others do that, and it's a group effort. And you Commissioner Price, said to me on day one when I began to discuss tax relief with y'all, if you want to lead a band or something like that, talk to these other entities. Well, we have, and they're joining in.
I think we want to get that information first.
Okay.
Because from my discussions, I'm not getting the same answers that you
I'm
are.
not either. I'm not either, Judge.
As a matter of fact, everybody wants those potholes fixed.
Yeah. Anyway, motion.
Now we call the question.
Question on amendment.
All right.
Question on amendment.
All right. All those in favor of Commissioner Cantrell's amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
No.
All right. Motion fails 2 to 3, or 3 to 2.
Go back to the original motion on the table.
Original motion on the table is for the existing rate.
Right, existing
And it was seconded by?
Dr. Garcia.
Second.
All right, you got it on there already. She's got it. Okay, any further discussion? I think we probably discussed it. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Motion carries 3 to 2. All right, and this takes us to Court Order 35, I believe.
So moved.
Second.
35.
All right, why did we pull 35?
Because.
Never mind. I know why. All right, so.
Hold on.
You voted against it in the juvenile.
I made the motion.
You motioned to move it, right?
On 35, who motioned?
He moved it, I'll second.
Okay. And just for the record, Dr. Smith, this was a vote that was taken in the Juvenile Department Board. I just want to be sure that for the record it's clear that this is not in any way double dipping or anything like that. It's a position that you requested like.
That is
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, question's been called. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I abstain. I abstain.
I'll move Court Order 68.
Oh, yeah, that's the one.
Only one abstention?
Yeah.
68 is the exception.
It was an exception
Yeah,
when it
I
passed.
second it.
It was the wrong employee, so we're moving it back.
It's that exception.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, it's on the.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any
No.
abstentions? All right, so we have,
She hadn't caught up with us.
Yeah, 68.
oh, I thought you had, I looked and I thought I saw it. I'm sorry.
I need, who motioned?
Commissioner Cantrell, Matt moved it, I second.
He second. Okay. And the vote was 4-1 with Commissioner Garcia against.
Voting no.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms.
That takes us to court orders number 74 and 75,
Let's go into closed session.
going to closed session. And we just take those at a regular time in closed session. And so that takes us to, suppose our public speakers, we have a speaker list.
No, I mean.
No.
What happened with 73?
73 we pulled.
Well, we pull 73 until next, another court session.
So,
I got it.
I want to say something about miscellaneous.
Yeah, 73 was
Oh,
planned
I'm
for next
sorry.
meeting.
Okay, somebody want to say something about miscellaneous?
Yes, me,
So,
Judge.
please go ahead.
Mr. Brown, there were some troubling, items that came up under the miscellaneous that I would like to review as far as mileage, food, and, transportation.
I'll have to go back and figure out how we got those numbers on there. They're clearly wrong. And so we can, rather than pull it, we'll just clarify once we get the exact amounts, because they'll only get reimbursed based on the policy that's in there.
Just wanted to be sure that it was on the record and that you will look into it. Thank you very much.
And then additionally, I'd like to point out that, just for clarification purposes, since we did pull the bond issuance, and we're going to delay it a little bit, we're going to have to take Court Order 69, which is the asbestos contract, and it will actually be put into the general fund because we've run out of appropriations in the major capital fund. It would be very important that we get that debt issuance issued in cash in hand before September 31st or 30th. Otherwise, Darrell Thomas will have a very difficult time closing books that won't look ferocious.
Yeah, well, nobody's telling me why we pulled it.
Yeah, I mean,
I ain't figured out why we pulled it.
Just clarify that.
Yeah, I got it.
Moving some of those.
Mr. Bazan, does this affect in any way, shape, or form?
To ensure that it doesn't affect the ongoing project, we're having to move it into the general fund, which is clearly not the desired approach to go about, but we just...
Or it will affect it, or
Well, you can
we will be
reimburse.
behind if we don't do that.
Once we issue that, you can reimburse the
Once
general
it's
fund.
issued, we'll get the reimbursement, and the books will clean up. But for right now, and because of the end of the fiscal year, we do have a little bit of a timing issue that we need to make sure we keep our eyes on.
Okay.
Also, the sheriff is asked to pull miscellaneous item on taser purchases. That item will be brought back at the next meeting also. That's under your miscellaneous briefing.
Anything else? Bless you.
No, I think that was
Okay.
it.
Bailey?
All right, we please read the rules of the court. Our public speaker, sir.
All Commissioners Court attendees are hereby advised that this meeting is conducted in accordance with provision of the Dallas County Code, Section 74-71. Visitors and registered speakers are to preserve order and form at all times. Personal, profane, or slanderous remarks are not appropriate and will not be allowed at any time during this public meeting. Any and all applause is to be kept brief in observance of time constraints. Disruptive visitors and unregistered speakers may be removed and are subject to the penalties provided in the state of Texas Penal Code Section 38.13, 42.01, and 42.05. Registered individual speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes, and the maximum discussion of any one topic is limited to 30 minutes.
My name is Dolores Phillips. Thank you for having me. My address is going to be 1050 North State Highway 360, Road D, 3501, Grand Prairie, Texas 75050. What I have the handouts I have for you, I just picked them up from the post office on yesterday. That's my briefs. For my education being sabotaged, for my speaking of corruption here, past, present, and ongoing. This is in your backyard that stemmed from 2008 and continuing to UTA. This record excerpt and the brief is about my education being sabotaged. And what I don't understand is that if everything is everything in the Dallas County, City of Dallas, in the state of Texas, is guilty of the most methodical cover-up of corruption, low to high, that makes the indictments of Governor Perry, Commissioner Price, and those who's connected to him, and it needs to be spoken, in the indictment of Ken Paxton, looks like petty crimes compared to what Dallas County, unbeknownst to y'all, City of Dallas, unbeknownst to y'all, and the state of Texas has done. Now, it was said that Scott Griggs was thoroughly investigated because he got on the wrong side of the fence, and he's a non-minority. I'm a minority. I'm not worried about nobody getting emotionally friendly. I'm not worried about no clout, no invisible connections. My education continued to be sabotaged. You have a letter from Senator Lawrence West. My contact with him was around the same time I contacted FBI back in 2008. This started when Honorable Casey was over the FBI in Dallas. It started when Chief Kunkel was the chief of Dallas Police Department. It started when a lot of people were gone, and I'm not understanding why these petty indictments are taking place when you are guilty of inhuman crimes that makes the system of original Jim Crow look like saints. And I'm not worried about getting locked down. I'm not afraid to live, and I'm not afraid to transition. That baby over there at Texas A&M was kicked out of Texas A&M because she asked about Confederate earrings. And I'm sure those prospective students that came from Dallas that went over there to view or look at to visit Texas A&M, if you would have asked any one of them would they prefer her to get kicked out of school, they would have said no. She was the scapegoat for corruption, high to low. Commissioner Price, the scapegoat for corruption, low to high. Ken Paxton is the scapegoat, the poster child, the poster child for corruption, low to high. In your backyard, Honorable Jenkins has letters I wrote to him. Within DCCCD, had to go to a Ombudsman, Betty Tully, Paul Shaver. See, I can mention these names because they sabotaged my education. Unlike Abigail Royal Fisher, who was heard twice in the Supreme Court. She was heard twice as a non-minority. Twice on the same case. I'm talking about what systemic racism is. I'm being brutally, unlawfully embattled by it, and the excuses has been the excuses since the original system of Jim Crow. I'm not worried. The truth needs to be spoken, and I'll be right back down here next month.
Thank you. You're out of time. Thank you. All right, Miss Cynthia Smith, please. Miss Cynthia Smith. Miss Cynthia Smith. Mr. Richard Sheraton.
This is Cynthia Smith.
Oh, I'm sorry, Cynthia.
No, that's not Cynthia Smith.
Well, different Cynthia Smith, I guess. I don't know. I don't think that is Cynthia Smith.
White.
Yeah, I think that's just a person. It's not the same thing. Yes, it is.
Judge, I've already marked Mr. Sheridan since you skipped.
Well, can we just go back in order then and get Ms. Smith?
No,
since she's
go ahead and get Mr. Sheridan and then let her.
You go ahead and give Mr.
Yeah,
Sheridan.
give
and I
Mr.
can
Sheridan
give
another.
Ms. Smith.
Ms. Smith, we're going to take Mr. Sheridan because they've already got him on the computer, and then I'll come right back to you, okay? Mr. Sheridan, come on forward.
Thank you.
Yes, good morning. Richard Sheridan, 3817 Internet Lane, Dallas. I appreciate being here. This is a very serious subject. West Nile virus, Ebola, Zika, and the CIA, U.S. government, and natural medicines. Done a lot of research on this, back to when we had the Ebola situation. So here we go again with another bioweapons attack on we the people by the ungodly covert factions of our governments. Now we have the Zika virus, unknown to most. There's a 1947 patent on the Zika virus issued to the Rockefeller cabal, which makes more money by waging war and delivering disease and death to Americans and also to world citizens. The Zika virus is marketed by LCG and ATCC. You can do your own research on this. The World Health Organization just made Zika virus a global health emergency. Many athletes are now refusing to participate in the Olympics in Brazil. Here's a coincidence. Millions of genetically modified mosquitoes have been released in Brazil under the guise of protecting the people's health from dengue fever. Brazil today is the epicenter of the Zika virus outbreak and the release of millions of genetically modified mosquitoes. The Zika virus is a sexually transmitted virus, and its main target is unborn babies, resulting in birth defects and neurological problems. For at least 150 years, our federal government, with agencies today such as the CDC, FDA, AMA, WHO, etc., joining in, have been involved in bioweapons against its citizens. And a few examples of this heinous activity will include the American Indians, with smallpox put upon them in their Trail of Tears, the Tuskegee experiment, where hundreds of black men were involved in a secret syphilis experiment. Citizens were secretly sprayed with infectious disease in the Greyhound bus terminals in Washington, Chicago, and San Francisco. Ebola, which you're very familiar with. Chemtrails, which people are becoming much more familiar with. West Nile virus. And again, Zika. Why is there a bioweapons program against we the people? It's primarily for population control, for the massive billions in profits by Big Pharma, to distract us from other sinister activities, and to have we the people totally controlled by our governments, by Big Brother. Again, according to elite globals like Kissinger and the Rockefellers, there are about 1 to 2 billion too many people in the world that must be gotten rid of. They call them useless eaters, and unfortunately, they look upon the black community as the primary useless eaters. There are two alternatives to address these man-made pandemics: Big Pharma and natural remedies. If the pandemic outbreak occurred, one of the primary causes of that mass genocide would be the CDC, the FDA, the medical establishment ignoring it. The positive news is that there are natural remedies, many being among ancient Chinese medicines: turmeric, clove of silver, garlic, onion, olive oregano, grapeseed extract, tobacco. If you saw the movie True Grit, you'd see that tobacco could be used. Honey, cinnamon, ginger, etc. So again, don't be afraid. Natural remedies. Again, I've said this before, that Parkland should have a natural remedies component to it. And thank you very much for your time.
All right. Miss Cynthia Smith, please.
Cynthia Smith's not here.
Well, let's verify that.
Yes, another lady.
Just her. Oh, I got you. Okay. So Cynthia Smith is not here. Miss Christine Mills. That makes sense.
That's her.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Christine Mills. I live in Grand Prairie, Texas, 7239 Marada, part of the Mira-Lagos community. I'm here because there's been an initiative that I've been trying to do in that community since I moved there in 2012. The Equal Justice Initiative is going to get a push here in Dallas. I said back since 2012 My real involvement started in 2013, those items I presented to you, since I have such a short time. But I do plan on bringing this issue back to Dallas County because I'm paying almost $2,000 a year extra to Dallas County, which an initiative was initiated in Grand Prairie that we pay through Dallas County. So with our taxes in Tarrant County and Dallas County, there are kickbacks. There are things that are happening within these communities, policing. If you say anything, you're going to get pushed back on. These communities have the Jim Crow tactics. They have Citizens United. They have vigilantes. It happened to me. I'm not complaining. We need to bring these things to the table. I'm trying to organize as best I can within protocol that I know of, and we need to be more participating in this process. People are afraid to come down here. They don't know how they're going to be received. But after this last incident in Dallas, I said, I don't want nobody coming there kicking my door down because somebody says, oh, she's just not happy, you need to move out the neighborhood. We're being forced out of our neighborhoods because when I said we, I'm not a retired veteran, but I am a veteran. My husband is a retired Vietnam veteran. And I feel like we're under a Tet offense. I've watched my husband go through this with the VA hospital. There's so many issues that the young people within our community and our churches, we're not addressing it. Nobody wants to come to the table without fear. This is not about fear. This is about making change, being part of the solution. So I wanted to start here because that package that I gave you are people that when I tried to organize, they put me out on blast on a public internet site and said things which got the police involved. And anytime you raise issues with the county, the state, these Jim Crow laws are coming back. These Citizens United is real subtle, but they're alive and well in Dallas County, Tarrant County, all the counties in the state of Texas. We're here. I don't want to leave my state. I don't want to leave my home. My husband worked very hard to retire in Texas. So why I'm here today is to say I want to come to the table. I'm bringing the issues back. I stand here not alone, but they're saying you're going to go down there and they're going to push you back again. Well, I don't believe that. I'm here. We need an equal justice initiative in Dallas County. I am trying to organize as best I can, but I need your help. We're coming back, and we're coming back with the hope that we will get the help we need to get this resolved. It doesn't look good for a lot of people. It can get better, but it can be stabilized, and we are part of the solution. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Mills, would you talk to Mr. Brooks Love? He is a representative for District 4, and we can see how we can help you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ms. Sandra Crenshaw.
Good morning. There has been little note of the fact that President Obama's recent visit to memorialize public servants in this state marks the second time that he's been to Texas for a tragedy involving mentally ill Army personnel. Public humiliation, Judge, was ruled out centuries ago as cruel and harsh punishment. So what is it going to take for Dallas County Democratic Party officials to back off of our district attorney? A former Democratic judge reported to Channel 8 last week that he felt that she should retire for her health. He's not a medical doctor. What if she wants to beat this? She wants to prove. And then he, of all people, one of the ones who sought the DA to challenge the former Democratic DA. And she said to the Dallas Monthly magazine, I've always wanted to be the DA. I'm hoping to meet with the Dallas Morning News in hopes that they will publish the percentage of those who commit suicide who have suffered from public humiliation. I have observed in our Dallas County government shortcomings and lack of training, lack of awareness in the Dallas deputy sheriffs, the Dallas deputy county clerks, the Dallas County Jail, and yes, even some of our Dallas district judges. are very callous in their treatment of the mentally ill. Now, as for the Dallas Democratic Party and their taunting, filing false affidavits, accusing people of being mentally ill, asking for emergency detention. I have talked with the Health and Human Services Commission, asking them to turn over the matters to the Attorney General. I'm asking this commission to ask for a full investigation, take a look at your mental awareness, your mental illness courts, and look into those, and if there's any evidence of misconduct by any of your staff members, I hope that you exercise that due diligently. I think that if anybody walks by a dog that says, "Beware of the dog," and that person taunts that person, that dog, throws rocks at that dog while that dog is chained up, I think that person is crazy and needs mental health treatment. Thank you.
All right. Our next speaker is Mr. Chad Perda.
Howdy. My name is Chad Perda. I'm a current resident of Dallas County. I've come here before you today to speak about the pay disparity and the hardships placed on the employees of Dallas County Sheriff's Department and their families. Approximately 8 years ago, this court voted to freeze the pay of Dallas County employees. This was done to help the county budget due to the economy at the time. This pay freeze, however, did not extend out to the out-of-pocket insurance costs for the employees, which has resulted in over 400% increase to out-of-pocket cost for the employee with less covered each year. This has also created an environment where an employee could not pay as much into retirement, costing the employee thousands of dollars each year in retirement, all culminating with the Dallas County Sheriff's employees taking home less money for each year of service. This court did vote recently to unfreeze the pay steps for Dallas County employees, and we thank you for that. However, the employees are not given credit for time in service. This has created an interesting environment where 10-year employees are paid the same as 2-year employees. This disparity goes even further within Dallas County. We have veteran deputies paid the same as the deputies that they train. We have employees who reach retirement and never reach top-out pay. Our pay scale tops out after 10 years with the Dallas Sheriff's Department. Our retirement, the Dallas Sheriff's Department is the only county in our retirement system still on a 30-year retirement. All the other counties have gone to a 20 and a 25-year retirement. With the current setup, this system, after 30 years of service and sacrifice, it is possible for an employee never to reach top-out pay. It has been said by this court, the employees of Dallas County should be paid 10% less than employees in the private field. This is due to the retirement plan and the insurances offered by the county being so good. This is the same retirement plan that is 10 years longer than the national standard, the same ones that employees have been allowed to put less and less money in each year due to the freezes, and the same insurance that covers less each year while out-of-pocket goes up. Next year, the insurance will have a $6,000 deductible before it covers anything, per person. But the 10% rule doesn't seem to extend to all county employees. That's where the disparity comes in. A few examples of this, the sheriff and her chiefs. They've all received raises and are now paid above the national average for their positions. This court's own budget officer, Ryan Brown, he's received several raises to get him above the national average for his position. The Dallas County DA has approximately 86 officers who work in their office as investigators. They're all Dallas County employees. Their salaries are also voted on by this court. Yet a DA investigator starts out making what a sergeant with the Dallas Sheriff's Department makes for doing the same job as a deputy. When the county we love so much needed us, we gave without hesitation. The economy was down, pay raises were not possible. We accepted it and did our job with honor and integrity. When protesters were in the streets, we did our job. When officers are being hunted for simply being officers, we do our job with honor and integrity. We are only asking, well, we are not asking for a pay raise, as some people call it.
Mr. Purdy, you're over your time. Can you?
Sorry about that. I have just a few more sentences. Do you want me to finish, or is that done?
If it's fine with me, if it's acceptable with the majority, it has to be unanimous for
Finish
you.
your sentence, go ahead.
Okay. We were only asking this court follow the court order it passed. We were asking for the employees of Dallas County to stop being treated like indentured servants, for this court to stop using our sense of honor, integrity, courage, and duty to take advantage of such an amazing workforce. All we want is to be paid the rate you promised us, the rate we earned. We upheld our end. We ask that you upheld yours in this current state where we have the money. Thank you.
And our last speaker is Mr. William Hopkins.
Jack, you ready to give him 5 minutes too? You can't do that for one without doing it for the others.
My name is William Hopkins. I noticed, Judge Jenkins, that this guy just got through speaking. When he went over like 40-some seconds, and then he asked you, was it all right? You told him, yeah, it's all right with me. But I can recall like 100 times I asked you for a minute.
All right, William, you got me on that one.
I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to keep on going. But what I'm here for is, Judge Jenkins, Gabriel Bates. I want to... When Gabriel was arrested, he was with a 7 and an 8-year-old, Judge Jenkins. But the 7 and the 8-year-old, they couldn't talk. And this police officer went to Henry Wade Court and told him that he broke the case talking to the 7 and the 8-year-old. But I was trying to see if somebody can get the CPS to see if that 7 and the 8-year-old could talk. And if they couldn't talk, how did the police talk to them? Kind of throw me off, Judge Jenkins. You throw me off, so somebody had to regroup and I'm going to come back. You throw me off, so seriously.
I'm going to more today.
I'm sorry. All right, and that's our last public speaker for today. So we're going to adjourn for our closed session to consider matters under Chapter 551 of the Government Code as previously posted. Any action as a result of the closed session will take place in a subsequent open session. for Commissioner Gentry.
Hands off.
That's interesting.
The court is back in session. It's 12:02. We come in a closed session, and is there a motion on any court orders?
Court orders 74 and 75 are before us. I'm moving.
Second.
All right.
Just
Motion.
one moment, Commissioner. Let me see if I can get this to work.
Okay.
If I can get the two of them together.
Yep, there we are. Okay, Commissioner, there you go.
Right.
You move, Commissioner?
I
Carter?
did.
Okay.
Garcia, I think so.
There we go.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. And you're only showing 4 votes there.
And she's going to do
right.
I voted, okay.
Super Commissioner Contract.
No, you need to vote Commissioner
Is
Contreras.
there any further business? Hearing none. Court stands adjourned.
He shows absent and.
It's okay, I'll fix